name's Daniel DeLuca. I am an adjunct professor or a teaching associate here at Coastal Carolina University. I teach in the visual arts department and in the interdisciplinary department. The focus of the current issue for Tapestry is oriented around AI's impact on the humanities, which is a kind of a huge question, but it's also a really interesting one in terms of how AI technology will impact the space of knowledge production, and what does that mean, and what does that look like, and how might that change the way in which instructors instruct their courses. My task for the cover was to try to identify some kind of image that might connect these broad thematics, and the way that I approached it was by working directly with text-to-image generators in order to produce the images, so AI-generated images. So I've been thinking about AI and its relationship to knowledge production for quite a while, and so the cover image that I've created was inspired in large part by a designer named Neri Oxman, who is really thinking broadly and in a long-term capacity as it relates to humans' relationship to machines and our relationship to nature. And so the kind of iconic image that I came up with was this relationship between this kind of cybernetic brain and a kind of small tree that's growing. The title of the image is called A Two-Way Street. It's really a kind of question and meditation on this: what would happen if we gave nature access to the computational infrastructure that humans have, and how might natural systems respond given the access to the data that we've collected about nature. And so the interface for creating that relationship is one that's highly technical and I think incredibly interesting, and offers a lot of kind of hope and promise for the future about how to build a more sustainable designed world by growing technology as opposed to our current way of producing it. Okay, so here we have an image that, so generate an image of a book that is dematerializing into binary code. So it created this image. It was pre-trained to have this hole in the bottom and a white background. I didn't specify that in my instructions, but it's because I created a kind of template architecture that that has a starting point for all the images that it creates. And then from this image, I can ask it to do things like, or actually, you know what I typically say? I say, please try again. That's what I say. Please try again. Often it's me just saying, try again, try again, try again, because it gives every iteration is going to be pretty different, and sometimes if it gets too far off of topic or off the visual, you can try to readjust where it is. Like in this case, you know, this hole isn't under the book. It's conflating the kind of spatial relationships here. You do see the zeros and ones, but it's not quite what I'm after. So I could say, you know, can you make sure the hole is going through the book, and that there is space all around the object, including the binary code. So I'm trying to add additional clarification to what the image should look like, and you know, it's sort of hit or miss in terms of whether or not it responds accordingly. And so often, say it doesn't do it on the first try, you know, that's why I continue to ask it to try again, try again, try again, and you get a sense of what it's doing, how it's starting to interpret your language, and whether or not you need to adjust your language based on the images that it's giving you. So you still see it's like having this weird issue, but if you do try again, it could give you something completely different. But nothing's perfect here. It's always kind of a bit of an art. So now we have the you know, all I said was try again, and now the hole is going through the book, right? And maybe we're like, well, we want the orientation, like I can say, great, much better, good job. little positive reinforcement, re-encouragement for a collaborator. Much better, but can you orient the book horizontally? Yeah, horizontally. Yeah, like now it's totally off. Like it got some things right. So again, you just like keep trying, and like, maybe you'll go through, like this image is nice. This is like there's stuff going on here. And even in this screenshot, you can see how it's like highly pixelated. So there's a lot of like post-production, like upscaling, these kinds of things to make the images usable, especially for print. And that's like additional software that costs money and all these things. So I've been working on these roots, and so these are some of the samples for the inside material. I don't know why some of these aren't loading, but again, like you can't see the images, but you can see how many images I'm generating. And so if you go to the top, you see sort of where things have started. And so I use this other AI-generated image I created in the past as a kind of reference for it to start with. And then it starts, creating iterations. And then I say, yes, that's better, try again. So a lot of it's try again, just to get different interpretations. And then, so then I say, can you make the cables sparser and bending in different directions as they emerge from the roots? And then I'm trying to be specific about an alteration, and I'm also trying to clarify what's in the image. So this image shows all the cables going straight up, and I'd like a more vine-like pattern where they grow in all directions. So I try to add kind of clarity as the process goes on. And then again, try again, here's updated stuff. And so you just do it over and over, and you try to, sometimes it's a matter of like the luck of the draw, and then other times you get to something, okay, so and I say, can you make the image sparser? So I keep saying this. Can you make a single iconic root, right, transforming into a fiber optic cable? And so that now it's doing these more individual things, which I didn't articulate at first, but refined the language as I went to be like, let's try this new approach. And now it's getting closer to like assets that I might be able to use. I wouldn't be able to use this one necessarily, and like maybe I don't like the color of that one. But like this one, I might be able to take and bring into the cover image and see if it works. So for this process, I was just trying to collect like as many of these like workable root images, and then I'll bring these, like I like this one, I think this is a beautiful image, and there's a lot. It's got the kind of gesture, right, dynamic gesture that's not straight up and down, and then like finally you get something, you're like, okay, this is workable, I'm gonna bring it into, Photoshop and see what I can do with it in there. And so you get several of these. I'm not upset, like for example, I have no problem that if it was the case that ChatGPT or another, or Google or any other company scrubbed my personal art website to train these tools, I have no problem with that, especially because I'm, now able to benefit from these tools. And so if I was able to contribute in some way, I'm happy to do that, given how powerful these tools are and how much they've actually made my, my creative process more matured or even more robust in a lot of ways. But from an artistic standpoint, I think it's also important to keep in mind that we all are kind of influenced by other artists throughout time, and sort of there's a long tradition of kind of styles blending into one another. And so we all owe, our ancestors and previous artistic, our predecessors, like we're all in debt to them for the styles that they've created that we've modeled ourselves after. And essentially, AI is kind of a next step in that evolution, and it's giving access to a lot of people to bring ideas into the world that hadn't been there before. You know, I do some photography. I'm not totally in love with it. You know, I do some drawing. I'm not like, you know, totally in love with drawing, but there's something kind of magical about the ability to bring concepts into forms through AI that's really resonated with my own artistic process. And so I've personally gravitated towards it because it's really magnified the concepts I have and brought them to life in a way that they haven't been previously. So I'm a big fan of, it's been very productive and generative for me artistically.